Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear learners and students, welcome back. I'm your English instructor Kashif Mahmood. Today we have reached at belief number 46. Now come and have a look at it. Demonstrate understanding of familiar sentence patterns using knowledge of syllables. Main thing is, what is syllable? Mark the multi-syllabic words in sentences to decode it, pronounce correctly, and also read unfamiliar sentence patterns fluently with proper stress, expression, and joy. Dear learners, basically, this belief belongs to oral communication. It means how we look at the word and how many parts, how many units of a word, and how we pronounce them, right? What is stress and what is intonation? This belief is about all these things. So, this is important. Be prepared for learning this one. So, let's move. I hope before starting this, you have done your bridging in your class with the help of your teacher. Now, let's move to the main topic. This is decoding multi-syllabic words and intonation. Basically, the whole topic is about what is syllable, how we can understand multi-syllabic words. Multi-syllabic words mean long words, tough words, right? And what is intonation? Intonation. What is stress? Where we have to put stress on the syllable. Yes, understanding rising and falling tone patterns. Rising and falling tone pattern is called intonation. Yes, look at it. Intonation basically consists of falling intonation used for statements and commands. It means that any statement we read or say, for this purpose we use falling intonation. And commands, commands mean orders. For orders we use falling intonations. The boys, look at this. Computer. Come, one syllable, pew is the second syllable, and ta is the third syllable. This is tri-syllable word. Computer indicate certainty or end of thought, right? Now, rising intonation. This is falling intonation. This is rising intonation. It means the sound should rise. Used for questions and lists. Whenever we talk about questions or lists, our intonation should be rising. Surprise. Surprise. Surprise indicates uncertainty or continuation. Now, let's move. What is intonation? Now we have reached at the slide in which we will discuss this topic in detail, right? Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice while speaking or reading. Now, it is very clear right now. Intonation is a process. When we read anything or when we talk about anything, how we rise our voice and how we have to fall our voice during reading or speaking, this proper function is called intonation. Now, these are the, first of all, we will discuss what is the meaning, emotions, poetry, how intonation is helpful in different fields. Now, expresses meaning clearly. It means that intonation is used to express meaning clearly, right? Intonation is a factor which is very useful for understanding the meaning with clarity, right? Intonation shows emotions and intentions. This is the second purpose, and this is the second advantage of understanding intonation. And intonation helps in understanding poetry and speech. Intonation means rise of the voice and fall of the voice helps us in understanding poetry and speech. If we are not understanding intonation, that's why we don't understand the real native or English speaker, because he is aware of the intonations. Now, intonation helps identify statements, questions, emotions, and emphasis. For this, and emphasis is called stress, where we have to put the stress. Now, move to the next one. I hope you are now fully understand what is intonation and what are the advantages of intonation, why we use intonation. Now, intonation patterns. There are two intonation patterns. First one is falling intonation and second one is rising intonation. These patterns help make speech more natural and meaningful, right? The same thing. Now, falling intonation in detail. Voice falls at the end of a sentence or stress words. That is called falling intonation. Used in falling intonation used in statements, WH questions, and expressing clear or definite ideas, that is called orders, right? Falling intonation. Now, look at this. This is an example of the question. What would you do if you were me, right? What would you do if you were me? Now, you start with high intonation and you lower your intonation, your voice, and at the end of the question, your intonation should be falling. In question, your voice should fall. At the start of the sentence, it should be high, and at the end of the sentence, your voice should be at low end, right? This is called low or the falling intonation. One of us was born on a twin. Look at this. Now, here the falling intonation. This fatal likeness even dodged. Now, this is falling intonation. So, I hope you have understood what is falling intonation and how in how many types of the sentences falling intonation is used. In statements, in WH questions, and expressing clear and definite ideas, we use falling intonation. Now, look at this rising intonation. That is the second type of intonation. Voice rises at the end of a sentence, right? Used in yes no questions, confusion or doubt, and uncertainty. Look at this. Yet not a soul knew which, right? This is falling intonation. You move and at the end your voice go rise, right? To prove that you were you. Yes, definitely rise. It puzzled all our kith and kin. Your tone, your voice should rise at the end of the sentence. This is called rising intonation. I hope you have understood what is rising intonation. Meaning of rising in yes, this is very important. Sune, meaning of rising tone in poetry. Yes, confusion, uncertainty, mastery, puzzlement. Look what it means. The rising tone shows that the speaker is unsure and questioning identity or meaning. It creates emotional depth in poetry. It means in poetry, whenever we use rising tone, it means confusion, uncertainty, and puzzlement, right? That's why we use rising tone in poetry. Now, this is the brief summary. Intonation basically have two types, falling and rising intonation. Meaning of the intonation, voice falls and voice rises. Usage, what usage? Falling in the statements and W's questions, and rising intonation in yes no questions or doubts. Guess the intonation. This is the question. I hope you have understood what is intonation, falling and rising intonation as well. I hope you have done your formative check in the class and you also finished with your classwork and your homework as well. So, dear learners, in the end, I hope you have pretty much aware of the concept of intonation and what is the falling and rising intonation and stress. I hope you are fine and you have grasped the concept. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.